Vaccine.
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer. Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
You're listening to your radio homes for the Megacast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. Today's edition of the Megacast begins now. Welcome to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. Let's begin with what's making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page. Our top article comes from Kara Berg at the Detroit News as the Michigan State Board of Trustees, following last week's announcement of President Samuel Stanley's resignation, has begun their search for an interim president. They announced this week, quote, the MSU Board of Trustees is unified in its commitment to having an orderly and smooth transition in university leadership, and its commitment to academic freedom and to working with the university leadership toward the goals outlined in the MSU Strategic Plan 2030, according to the statement. It is our intent to engage in thoughtful deliberation and to make a decision as soon as possible. Of course, Dr. Stanley will be remaining with the university for 90 days following his resignation last week in order to provide stability in that transition as the Board of Trustees and the firm that it hires to do the search for an interim president looks for somebody to fill that role following that 90-day period. He, of course, Dr. Stanley resigned on October 13th, just a little bit under a week ago, saying that he had, quote, lost confidence, and close quote, in the Board of Trustees following several different decisions, including pressure that was put on him following his forced resignation of Sanjay Gupta from the Broad School of Business following some Title IX issues, particularly with Gupta's alleged mishandling of reporting of sexual assault and cases at the Broad School of Business. Finding a new president may be more of a challenge than expected. That's according to experts working with the university and analyzing the situation. A national university recruitment expert told the Detroit News and suggested that the board may want to pause before conducting a new search for a permanent replacement due to some of the issues surrounding the current state of affairs in recruiting for these sorts of positions, as well as some of the issues ongoing on MSU's campus. Quote, find somebody in the institution who's willing to calm things down for a year or two, in closed quotes, said James Finkelstein, a professor emeritus of public policy at the Schar School of Policy and Government at George Mason University. Before the resignation of President Stanley, both the MSU Faculty Senate and the Associated Students of MSU, or ASMSU, both provided a vote of no confidence in the Board of Trustees. Those don't hold any legal weight or any weight in this situation with the Board of Trustees and their responsibilities in finding a replacement for Dr. Samuel Stanley as their new president, but certainly indicative of some of the issues mounting at Michigan State University. Also making headlines today on our website at civiccentertv.com's local news page, from Brendel Hightower at the Detroit Free Press, two Detroit icons will be the grand marshals for America's Thanksgiving Day Parade on November 24th in downtown Detroit, those being Jalen Rose and Reverend Wendell Anthony. Last year's parade featured a couple of individuals, also one from sports and one from the faith community, with former Detroit Lion Calvin Johnson being one of the grand marshals and the other being Detroit Bishop Edgar Van. The event was voted as the nation's best holiday parade by USA Today in 2019, and took second place in 2021. Of course, Jalen Rose is a major sports figure in the media nowadays after a long NBA career, and of course, gaining fame as a great high school player in the city of Detroit, and of course, with the Fab Five at the University of Michigan. Wendell Anthony, president of the Detroit branch of the NAACP, is an alum of Detroit Public Schools, Wayne State University, Marygrove College, and the University of Detroit. He also serves on the NAACP National Board of Directors and has been a pastor of Fellowship Chapel in Detroit for nearly 40 years. So those are going to be your two grand marshals for this year's Thanksgiving Day Parade in Detroit. Of course, the parade, sponsored by Gardner White, takes place from 10 a.m. until noon on November 24th and will air live on WDIV, that's Local 4, Channel 4 in the Detroit area, with 1 hour syndicated nationally from 10 a.m. until 11 a.m. Odyssey's 104.3 WOMC will also host live radio coverage 10 a.m. until noon. Finally, making headlines today on civiccentertv.com's local news page, from Tony Garcia at the Lansing State Journal. We finally have a time for the big game coming up, not this week, but next weekend, between the University of Michigan and, of course, my alma mater, Michigan State University. This year's game happening in Ann Arbor at the Big House at Michigan Stadium, and that kickoff will be 7:30 p.m. under the lights at the University of Michigan's stadium. They'll take the home game this season when Michigan and Michigan State match up. Of course, they got a bye week this week for both teams. Michigan 7-0, including 4-0 in the Big Ten after their big win against number 10 Penn State last weekend. And Michigan State 3-4 overall, 1-3 in the Big Ten. Really not having such a great season there, even despite last weekend's exciting victory in overtime against the University of Wisconsin. The schools announced on Monday that the game will take place and set off at 7:30 p.m. That game is on ABC. Fox had first choice at that week's games, and of course took the anticipated matchup between Ohio State University and Penn State University. ABC had the second choice, chose the Michigan versus Michigan State matchup, and put it at 7:30. The last time that these two teams met under the lights was in 2017 when the Spartans won by a score of 14-10. That was just their first meeting. That was their first meeting under the lights since their first meeting in 1898. MSU's been quite familiar with those late games this season, late afternoon and those night games all throughout the season. Their season opener was at 7 p.m. They played then in week 2 in the afternoon against Western Michigan at 4 p.m. And then in week 3, the matchup against Washington on the road, that was a 7:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff, or 4:30 p.m. in Seattle. Michigan leads the series all time, 71 and wins, 38 losses and 5 ties, and is 38-29-2 in rivalry games involving the Paul Bunyan Trophy. But Michigan State is 2-0 since Mel Tucker took over the head coaching position from Mark D'Antonio in 2020, winning as underdogs both times. Jim Harbaugh, head coach of the University of Michigan, 3-4 all time in matchups against the Spartans. The line's not yet been set, but we would imagine that the betting would be in the favor of the University of Michigan, as they're undefeated and currently ranked number 3 in the USA Today coaches poll. Expected to be a heavy favorite against Michigan State, who just picked up its first conference victory last weekend, 34-28 win in overtime over the University of Wisconsin. All of those headlines on our website, civiccentertv.com, on our local news page, along with links to COVID-19 updates from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, and the Oakland County Health Division. We have a great show ahead on this Tuesday edition of the Megacast. Coming up next, we'll talk to Dr. Jamie Twill about the flu, COVID-19, and more. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Let's whoop it up for these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show looking into all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about the program on our website at civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and individual interviews on demand. Joining us now on the Megacast is Dr. Jamie Twill, internal medicine specialist at Grand River Medical Associates, as we go into the thick of the flu season, and of course are still considering things like COVID-19 and other basic medical treatments and checkups that all of us should be getting this season and all throughout the year. Dr. Twill, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me on, as always. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right today. How are you?
I'm getting there.
Good. Always good to hear. So here, as we mentioned, we're in about the time of the year where flu starts to become a little bit of an issue here in our communities. Of course, the seasonal flu we hear about every single year, and the flu shot. For some people, there seems to be two camps. There's the people that get the flu shot religiously every single year, and others that may take a year off or several years off and think, well, it's just a slight variation of the year before. I should be fine. For those that are reluctant to get the flu shot every year or just kind of blow it off, what do you say to that population about the importance of getting their flu shot and how that can help protect them, given the ways that flu changes year to year?
Well, I think the one thing I usually tell patients is that the last thing you want me as your physician to say to you is, I told you so. Usually that means something bad has happened. So typically, you want to make sure that patients are getting their flu vaccines. Skipping a year means you're just at risk as anybody else. Getting the previous year's flu vaccine is not going to protect you to this year's flu vaccine. So, the inconsistency is not always going to lead to good outcomes. Your risk of getting flu is significantly decreased by when you receive the flu vaccine, and you want to reduce not only the risk of getting it, but also the severity of it should you get it. And nothing's been proven to be more effective than the vaccine at this point.
And so when you get that vaccine, people are also concerned too with the traditional flu vaccine that, they're giving me the live virus. I might feel bad after I get the flu for a few days, and it's almost like I have it. Wouldn't it just be better for me to not have that protection from that vaccine and just, get it naturally if it's going to give it to me anyway? What do you say about that argument? What are the flaws in that argument that we hear so often from people about the flu shot?
No more often than I do hear it. I'll tell you that much. Well, the reality is that, yes, your body does mount an immune response when you receive the flu vaccine. You do feel a little fatigued, you do feel a little bit out of it, and it does last for a few days. However, the severity of disease that you get from the flu vaccine is extremely mild compared to what would happen if you were to just get the flu itself. And, you don't want to add any more problems onto your plate right now, specifically with COVID still happening and new variants of COVID coming out. You want to do everything you can to try and reduce the risk of getting something that's going to put you out. And no one wants to be out any more than they already have been. So I think the reality of the situation is that the flu vaccine does give you a mild reaction, but that reaction is your body gearing up to protect itself from when you were to actually be exposed to the flu. So it's definitely a good thing, and it's definitely something that people would want to do.
And Dr. Twill, we're also seeing that early on this flu season, it's having quite the impact in Australia. And so what can that tell us about what this flu season might be like in terms of forecasting that? It's already having quite the impact on Australians. What does that maybe mean for us here in the U.S.? Are medical professionals expecting this flu season to be a little bit more severe than it's been in years past?
I do. And I've been seeing more severity of illness in general. I mean, a lot of viruses that are going around. RSV has picked up, a lot of, with the change in temperature, the allergies that are kicking up, people are getting more sick. I think Australia is a pretty good indication of what we're going to be expecting. And I think it's going to be a pretty rough flu season. I also think the drop in contact precautions that have occurred are definitely going to lead to more infections of the influenza virus, as well as possibly more infections with COVID. So I do think it's definitely important to try and put every type of weapon in your arsenal in the protection against getting some sort of terrible virus.
In terms of COVID-19 boosters, just to continue on the theme of vaccinations for a little while, we've seen the new boosters come out recently for the Omicron subvariant. For Omicron's subvariants that have become more dominant strains of late, and we're continuing to see more and more boosters. On the other side of that, we're also seeing, in terms of public defense against COVID-19, a lot of those precautions that we had early on in the pandemic, even a year ago, have gone to the wayside. And in some cases, it seems like it's a very much a very relaxed approach to COVID-19 at this point. What are the flaws, if any, that are in that approach? And what really would you suggest, and other professionals in the medical community like you suggest, for people in the population at this time, given what we know and where we're at with COVID-19, to prevent further spread of the virus throughout our communities and prevent severe disease?
So Omicron came through, and Omicron was a little bit more elusive to vaccines. It was also elusive to some treatments, but at the same time, it was a much milder form. So I think a lot of people picked up COVID or saw people that they knew that had COVID and had the Omicron variant and saw that it wasn't as terrifying as it was portrayed. So they thought to themselves, well, this isn't that big a deal. So they ended up kind of being a lot more lax in things. You know, if I get COVID, it's not going to be that bad, or I already had it, and therefore I'm okay. You know, people, when they say I've had COVID, therefore I feel like I've already built the antibodies to it. You know, that's kind of like saying, well, I don't need to wear a seatbelt because I've already been in a car accident. And that's just not reasonable. I feel that the new variants that are coming out are going to be a lot more significant and severe. And I think that people still need to be aware that there are variants of COVID that are coming out, and there are variants of COVID that are still out. I've had patients get it multiple times, 2 to 3, even possibly 4 times. So you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to protect against that, because ultimately, we're going to see a variant that's not going to be as pretty. It'll probably be as dangerous as the previous ones. We're already starting to see spikes in hospitalizations, new variants that are coming out. The new bivalent vaccine that's basically been put out has the Omicron variant spike protein, but also has the previous spike protein that was absent in the newer vaccines. And that has been shown to prevent people from getting COVID again, those that have waning immunity from having a previous, infection from COVID, as well as protect against the newer the variants that are coming out. It's been shown to be a little bit more effective. So hopefully, I encourage everybody to get new vaccines, including the bivalent vaccine, as well as, even if you've had COVID or previous vaccines, I want the new boosters to be in everyone's arms if possible. In addition to that, just to maintain the typical contact precautions, even more so during flu season, because we've already shown that as we were diligent in making sure we didn't get COVID, we've also protected ourselves from potentially getting the influenza virus. So I think it's a win-win.
Let's continue on with Dr. Jeremy Twill from internal medicine specialist at Grand River Medical Associates on today's edition of the Megacast. Another important topic that has been getting a lot more attention of late in the last couple of years, and really has had some changing precautions and recommendations directed at it, has been approaches to getting colonoscopies regularly for people of certain ages here in the U.S. and around the world. But the information on that has changed. And in the past, it's been a more middle-aged and older individuals that were suggested to get colonoscopies regularly over a variant of time. But that age has actually moved back a little bit in recent years.
Mm-hmm. We're seeing a new surge in younger people that are getting colon cancer. So we're starting to be a little bit more diligent about preventable cancers. And preventable means we can catch it early, we can get rid of it, and we can prevent people from dying from it. And the studies have shown conclusively that people that get routine colonoscopies or colon cancer screenings, either through colonoscopy or through Cologuard, which is a stool-based DNA study, have been able to reduce their risks of getting and dying from colon cancer. I'm sorry, forgive me. So the lowering of the age is to just be able to catch more people. So the new previous guidelines were at age 50, the newer ones are at age 45. So by lowering the age to 45, we're able to capture things a little bit. The earlier you catch something, it's much easier to stop a truck going 5 miles per hour than it is going 100 miles per hour. So if we're able to catch it at that 5 mile per hour speed, speaking, it will definitely reduce your risk of potentially dying from colon cancer, preventable disease.
In terms of frequency of those procedures, has that changed too with the age suggestion?
So it's typically every 10 years if you have a normal colonoscopy. However, if polyps are present, now I always say this to patients, and my mentor taught me this, not all polyps become cancerous, but all cancers start as a polyp. So if you're able to find any polyp and remove it, you can determine whether or not it's a dangerous polyp, whether or not it's a safe polyp, and it ends up being a little bit more beneficial for the patient in the long run. So if you have a colonoscopy and polyps are visualized, then they narrow that window down to roughly 5 years, give or take. And based on the pathology of the polyps, are they dangerous? Or are they none? Are they just basic polyps? Or are they more aggressive polyps that have the higher potential potentiality to become colon cancer, then they're going to move that up to 3 years, and based on the number and size and type of polyp, even up to 1 year surveillance colonoscopies. So they get more diligent as the things they find.
We're joined by Dr. Jamie Twill from Grand River Medical Associates. On today's edition of the Megacast, you can get in contact with them by going to their website at grandrivermedical.com. That is grandrivermedical.com. You can also give them a call, 248-264-6169, 248-264-6169 for more information. Dr. Twill, anything else that we should be keeping aware of individually or as families at this time on the medical front?
No, it's tough to give advice in these scenarios, but my common advice is always the same. It's going to be that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and it is very easy to focus on the things that are right at the forefront, and we are focusing on that. But I also want to make sure that patients are doing all of their regular routine screening. We did talk about colonoscopy, and there's a bit of a backlog from all the people that put it off during COVID. Same with mammograms, same with Pap and pelvics for gyne screening. Things like that. We want to make sure that patients are still doing the regular routine things and they're not getting sidelined by the tragedies that are happening currently in the world. We are still keeping a very close eye on that. We encourage people to, but we also want to make sure they're still getting in to see their doctors. They're still getting all of their routine screenings, getting their blood work, and they're making sure that they're in contact with their physicians to make sure that we are all doing our job to make sure everyone's doing well. We want to keep it going. So I say just continue with contact precautions as best you can. Do the best you can. Be kind to each other. That's about it.
Yeah, we've learned a lot over the last few years about different ways we can protect our health and the health of others around us. And of course, I think more than anything, we've learned it's really important to ask questions when we have them and we're not sure what to do to better protect our health and those around us. And a great person to go to is your primary care provider, people like Dr. Jamie Twill. Dr. Twill, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. As always, I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you guys today.
We'll take a break here on the Megacast. On the other side, we'll talk about Michigan travel for the spooky season with Odie McKinley from Pure, Michigan. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Let's whoop it up for these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the cheering going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head on, visit michigan.gov/flu.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program by visiting civiccentertv.com/Megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State and find all of our full shows and individual interviews on demand. Joining us now from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation is Odie McKinley, their media and communications manager. Odie, thanks for being with us today.
Hello, Tyler. How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. I am loving this weather, although it's a little rainy today. It's been a pretty fantastic fall so far.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it yesterday. I was driving around the Oakland County area after work a little bit, and just seeing some of the colors all around the community. It looked amazing, and it's been great. It's been cool, but not super cold outside. But rainy days the last couple of days, and that's par for the course for the fall season. But also, it's a great time of the year to get ready. Just a couple more weeks left until Halloween season next weekend, or a couple weeks. And just after next weekend will be the Halloween season. So for people that want to get into the festivities now or throughout the rest of the month, what are some of your favorite places, some of your favorite spooky places in the state to visit this time of year?
Well, I mean, as we just kind of alluded to, fall is a spectacular time in Michigan.
Yeah.
And not only for charming apple orchards and cider activities and fall color tours, but it's a great time to travel with the family. It's a great time to explore Michigan's, historic cemeteries, ghost towns, and attractions across the state. It's this time of year always adds a little spooky or eerie to everything, and so there's just great opportunities across the state for a little ghost town experience or some historic attractions.
Yeah, some of those ghost towns include Freda and the Keweenaw Peninsula. That's a great location to go for some of these sort of ghost town experiences that work really well in this Halloween season with the fall of Michigan right around them.
Yeah, you're right. The Upper Peninsula as a whole, but certainly specific to the Keweenaw Peninsula, with the lumber and the copper industry booms, and then depressions or the busts. It left a lot of those towns vacant and abandoned. However, they still stand there. And so to be able to head to some of these areas, as you said, the Freda and the Keweenaw Peninsula, really is walking back in time, and do it in the afternoon. And as the sun is setting, it can get a little eerie as well.
Yeah, and one of the locations that's very similar to that with some of the iron background here in Michigan is Fayette Historical Town Site and the Garden Peninsula, also in the UP, another great location for that kind of experience with a little bit of a historic background. There's also some great moving experiences too. If you go into places like Traverse City, we recently had Mike Kent on from their tourism board to talk about some of their events coming up this season, not necessarily on the Halloween front, but they have some exciting haunted Traverse walking tours also happening in Traverse City. A great place to visit this time of the year, regardless of if you want a spooky experience or not. But this is a great one if you want to really get into the Halloween season.
It really is. And, again, sometimes ghost towns and historic opportunities kind of blend with one another. But on these walking tours in Traverse City, you get to experience some really great places. The Perry Hanna House, the City Opera House, the State Theater, just to name a few. But another area in Traverse City that, while it isn't haunted, it is actually turned into an incredible bustling area, the Village at Grand Traverse Commons. The history of that building, though, it was a state-run asylum. And when you walk through the walls, there is some spooky vibes, no doubt, in there. But if you want to get a really neat experience and an incredible meal while at the Village at Grand Traverse Commons, check out the Trattoria Stella's. It is incredible food, fine dining, but you are in a portion of the asylum that you kind of can imagine some of the things and stories that happened when it was not a trattoria. Very neat experience.
We're joined by Odie McKinley on today's edition of the Megacast. He is the Media and Communications Manager for the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Joining us on today's program, your trip begins at michigan.org for many of these experiences. Another great place people love to go during the Halloween season for some of those spooky experiences is to go to a place that many of the people start their haunting in the afterlife, and that is at the cemetery. Some of your favorite places in Michigan are those haunted cemeteries. Where should people be going if they're looking for one of those haunted cemetery experiences?
Well, I mean, any cemetery is spooky at night, yeah. Right? Every little noise, you're swinging around. What was that? What was that? There are a number of cemeteries across the state that are both rich in history, but also create a little eerie in the back of your neck. The Pierre Cheney Cemetery, which is near Roscommon. It's actually known for a witch that is buried there. Rumor has it that she was ostracized for causing an outbreak of a disease that swept through the town. So again, history, lore, eeriness, spooky. But another one, this one, the Lost City of Damon.
Yeah.
That is near Rose City, which is just outside of West Branch. That name was actually coined by an author, James Oliver Curwood. But this too was an abandoned logging town. And the centerpiece of this abandoned town is its cemetery. You know, you can I ask respectfully, tour the grave markers that go back to the early 1800s. Also, this particular place, if geocaching is your thing, this is there's a treasure hunt right up ready at the go at this cemetery.
More information can be found on different haunted experiences, fall experiences, and things you can do across the state all around the year at michigan.org. Michigan.org for more information on all these different things. And we've talked earlier about some of the great trails in northern Michigan, the northern lower peninsula in Traverse City on some of those trails. Another great haunted trail is the haunted M25 trail for those that want to travel in the lower peninsula, maybe not go so far north and just head into the Thumb. Tell us about that experience and what makes that so fun for this time of the year.
Well, again, you know, I often talk about the Thumb area because it is often an overlooked area of the state.
Yes.
But regardless of the time of the year, it is an incredible area. And again, in the fall, you know, just historic road trips are something that area really offers. You know, there's a number of lighthouses along the tour, some of Michigan's oldest. For example, up in Port Austin, the Point All Barks Lighthouse. Again, it is rumored to still be haunted by Catherine Shook. She is known as Michigan's first female lighthouse keeper. But again, wherever you're going across the state, as you said, your trip begins at michigan.org, and you can go there, do a little research, and be willing to think about a historical tour of different regions in the state that you may not be familiar with. It's an incredibly educational opportunity for children to experience and see what Michigan's history was. It is a rich and fabled history that might not get the attention that it deserves.
And of course, there's so many great things to do in the state of Michigan all throughout the fall season. For those that, you know, seeing this time of the year, it's getting cooler outside, it's getting rainier. You know, we know that the Upper Peninsula just got hit with a ton of snow just yesterday and at the end of the weekend too, and even continuing on into today a little ways with the snow there. And that's coming here in the lower Michigan very soon. For those that want to get some of these great experiences in before those cold months come in, they don't like getting outside for the snow for some reason, what are some things that they can continue to do as the fall season's starting to come to a close in the next month or so?
Well, you know, Michigan is really fortunate in the sense that how big the state is, from the upper west portion of the UP or up to the Copper Harbor area in the Keweenaw Peninsula down to southeast Michigan. It really affords people to experience those fall activities for a really long time. You're talking most of September and most of October. A lot of states don't have that window of fall to enjoy all of those things. And again, you know, kids are in school, kids have sporting events on weekends. So, you know, quick day trips are pretty doable from anywhere in the state to experience some of these historic areas, historic attractions. You know, thinking and talking about abandoned mining towns and lumber towns is incredible, but you can go to the Henry Ford and walk through Michigan's most notable history or industry as of late, the automotive industry.
Yeah.
And you know, that's a great day trip. Certainly while you're in the area, check out Greenfield Village. It's like you're taking a step back in time with Model T running around all over the place, and just a really neat experience. You know, I often talk about some of the travels my wife and I have, and every year Greenfield Village is a must for us during the holiday season. It just really tugs at the heartstrings and draws on that emotional connection to the caroling and what the season means, and just a wonderful time.
Yeah, so many great things to do here in the state of Michigan all throughout the season and all 4 seasons that you get to experience here in the Great Lakes State. Odie, thanks so much for joining us.
Tyler, it's always a pleasure. Enjoy your fall, enjoy your weekend, and we'll chat soon, I hope.
Absolutely. Have a good weekend yourself coming up.
Thanks, Tyler.
Your trip begins at michigan.org for more information on traveling all throughout pure Michigan. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll talk to the director of a nonprofit that's helping youth in our communities here in Metro Detroit learn about some of the many activities they can engage in to keep themselves involved in their community and, of course, having plenty of activity in and outside of the classroom. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the Megacast.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
I'm feeling good.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Let's relish these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the festivals going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick. The virus will die. It will be easy to not catch it. Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine to keep safe and strong. Be happy, having fun everywhere. Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
Welcome back to the Megacast, our live local daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes state, including My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and individual interviews on demand. Joining us now is Alan Locke. He is the executive director of Rttm Community Center, joining us on today's Megacast. Alvin, thanks for being with us.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you. Excuse the mask. I'm in a shared space, and better safe than sorry, my friend.
Absolutely. We encourage that, and we totally understand. Thank you for being with us today. Let's start off by having you tell us about the Rttm Community Center and the services that it provides in Metro Detroit.
Sure thing. So Rttm Community Center, we're a full-service community center. Our mission is to provide hope and access. We believe if you have hope, that's half the battle, especially being in Detroit. But then the other thing is access. When people are able to actually get the resources that they need, it can change lives. So we do that by introducing our community to new individuals, industries, and ideas. So we have annual health fair. We host we call it a Dapper and Dollop Day, where people just learn about self-love and get to see barbers and beauticians and stylists and get all dialed up for a day and feel good about themselves. Our main program is Q Blackout. It's a technical theater program where we teach young people lights and sound and content creation, and they write their own original plays. We're actually doing our first production this December. And right now we're gearing up for our Super Bowl and our program Harvest Streets on Halloween. We serve about 800 people in our community, and we've been blessed to have sponsorship from Town Club Soda, Uncle Ray's, Nick's Chips, Comerica Bank, Vault of Midnight Comics, Ari's Bakery, Dearborn Sausage. Just a lot of people pour into that event. So we're truly blessed for that.
And you mentioned access as being a key element of what your organization does for youth in Metro Detroit, to get them access to some of these programs that are available, some of these amenities in the community that may be available to them as well. And talk about just how important that access is when these kids have those interactions to these different programs, these different entities, and have access to them really for, in some cases, the first time, just how that changes their perspectives on themselves, on the world around them, and what they can do right there in their community.
So if you're from the Detroit area, you've heard of Mosaic Youth Theater Detroit. It's a big deal. Being a young person was in that program myself. Access can change your life. I always say the coolest thing I've ever done in my life was marrying my wife. A close second was I got to do sound for DJ Jazzy Jeff. Tyler, I grew up on Drury Road in Livernois. So when people say the hood in Detroit, that is the hood. But someone showed me a whole new world. Hey, here's lights, here's sound, here are different places. And it changed my life. And I'm seeing it in our young people now. When they go to the Pistons games, which they probably never been before, but then they're paying attention to not just the game, but all the other things that go along with it. One of our major things that we're doing is we're introducing them to Fortune 500 companies. So presidents of Comerica and GM are coming in and talking to them, not just about, their day-to-day, what you see, but all the opportunities that they can have working in those organizations. Just because you work at GM doesn't mean you're on the line. You could be an architect. You could, GM actually has theaters. You can work in their theater. If you work at a bank, there's not just bankers, there's marketing. There are people who handle the commercials, all types of roles. So just trying to get them to see different things available in Detroit, especially. The city is on the come up. It is really progressing, and there are so many opportunities. And if our young people don't know about them, they can't even dream to do those things. So our goal is just to show them what's out there, and especially in our great city.
And you mentioned Q Blackout in that program, and how that helps immerse kids in the arts in many different facets. And we have so many great creative people in the state of Michigan, certainly in the Detroit area, and that includes kids in the city of Detroit that are able to break out through these kinds of programs or other opportunities, and even on their own, regardless of these opportunities, and do amazing things and show the creativity that comes out of the city of Detroit. So for those that would like to participate in Q Blackout, how do they get involved with that? Where is that located, and how can they immerse themselves in these programs?
Awesome. That's a great question. So we are in District 3 Detroit, 9016 Van Dyke. We started in our family's church, Returning to Truth Ministries. So we're on like 94 in Van Dyke, District 3 Detroit. And we have, it's open to anyone. Our goal is to just introduce as many people as we can to the arts. And the cool thing about our program is we're kind of a niche program. We focus on everything behind the stage. So while we do have performers, our main thing is showing our young people lights and sound and podcasting and video. And we always say that if you can do a podcast for yourself, you can do it for any company, anywhere, anytime. So these are transferable skills. And a lot of people don't know this, but Detroit is the second largest theater market in seats in America. And if you don't believe me, drive down Woodward and throw a rock. You will hit a theater. So not only is it a industry that's very popular, but one thing we learned is our young people are actually interested in it. Because now we're teaching them how to really edit videos and add sound. So their TikToks are like, as my niece says, like on fleek. Like their TikToks are just getting better and better. And even the most nonchalant teenager finds these things interesting. So it's really cool. And seeing their families get involved and come out to the shows and learn things. And a lot of our programs have happened because the families are involved. Like, hey, their older cousin has a job interview. Oh, we need to teach our young people how to have job interviews. Hey, we need to do this. All right, let's figure out how to do this. So I always say my number one job as an executive director to find out what my people need and to make it happen. So, and we're all for people just coming apart and coming out. So 9016 Van Dyke, rehearse. We meet Saturdays from noon to 2 every Saturday. And we're in 2023, we're going to actually add more dates.
It's a few different places that you can learn about all this information. You can go to rttmcc.org. That's rttmcc.org, or visit qblackout.org. That's QUE blackout.org for more information. Another place you can get all this info is at sharedetroit.org, sharedetroit.org, where you can find more information on RTTM Community Center and 327 other charities and nonprofits in the Metro Detroit area. We're joined by Alan Lockett, the Executive Director of RTTM Community Center, on today's edition of the Megacast. These are great programs that are really able to provide, as you said earlier, that access to some of these resources and really open up the world to these kids in Metro Detroit, certainly in the city of Detroit, to many different opportunities and avenues for them to express themselves and take control of things that they're interested in and turn it into great life opportunities. How can people support your organization at this time and in the near future to make sure that these programs are able to continue and these kids are able to have these great experiences all throughout our local area?
The best way to support is to follow our social, check out our website, come out, support our shows. We're doing a show December 3rd and December 10th. It's about the music of Detroit at our space. And our Harvest Sheets, like I said, is on Halloween. Come out. And these are free events. We just ask people to come out, tell a friend. We always say, see what we do. Check us out, kick the tires, and then be a part. And like you said, we're so grateful for you all and Share Detroit for giving us this opportunity to tell the world about what we're doing. The city of Detroit has so many great arts programs and so many great things, and we're just really excited to be a part of it and bring a different perspective.
And there's so many great professionals in all these different industries that kids are then able to engage in through these kinds of programs and these kinds of organizations like yours at RTTM Community Center. And so if people want to give some of their experience back to the community and help out, are there volunteer opportunities with your organization?
Oh, most definitely. We are always hosting events and really just want to hear people's stories. Being a theater company, we are all about stories and hearing people's stories. Some of the organizations that we work at, like GM, Comerica, we've had an opportunity to speak to their leadership, and a lot of times we just want to hear their story. A lot of times our young people just want to know what's going on. And if anyone wants to come out, share their story, be a part, at our shows, help sell the popcorn, help get people seated, pass out flyers. We're always open to people being a part, because we really feel that it takes a village, and the more hands makes the work easier, and diversity is so important. We want our young people to see not just the city, not just a certain type of person, but to be able to work with, collaborate, and learn from others.
We're joined by Alvin Lockett, the Executive Director of RTTM Community Center, on today's edition of the Megacast. Again, you can find more information, get involved at rttmcc.org. It's rttmcc.org. We can also find more information on where they're on social media, facebook.com/rttmcc. They're also on YouTube, have LinkedIn pages and more. And of course, you can learn more about Q Blackout, one of their great programs, their media program, by visiting QUEblackout.org. That's QUEblackout.org for more information when they meet, some of their programs, and of course, to get in contact with them and get involved with the Q Blackout team as well. Alan, anything else we should be aware of about your organization, upcoming programs or events that people can participate in, or other ways that people can help your organization?
Yes, sir. Like I said, our Super Bowl is our Harvest Streets that is happening on our space, 9016 Van Dyke, on Halloween, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. It is a one-stop shop smorgasbord. You can come in. We're providing bags, all the candy, all the pops, all the chips that you can imagine, and it's totally free. We just really want to give back to our community. And like I said, at the end of the year, our play is called "It's a Woe There Life." The story of Detroit music is happening at our space, 9016 Van Dyke, on December 3rd and December 10th. Both performances will happen at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And these are free to the community.
Again, more information can be found on the website rttmcc.org. That's rttmcc.org. You can also find them on Facebook at facebook.com/rttmcc or search RTTM Community Center. And of course, on Share Detroit's website, we can find more information on this organization, get in contact with them, maybe help them out on some of the items that they may need to provide some of these services, as well as information of the same kind from 327 other charities and nonprofits in Metro Detroit at sharedetroit.org. Alvin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day, my friend.
Appreciate having you on. We've been joined by Alvin Locke, the Executive Director of RTTM Community Center, on today's edition of the Megacast. One more time, their websites, rttmcc.org is their main website for their Q Blackout program. That is QUE-blackout.org, QUE-blackout.org, or QBlackout.org for more information. That is going to do it for this edition of the Megacast. Big thank you to everybody that joined us on today's edition of the program, including Dr. Jamie Twill, Odie McKinley, and of course, Alvin Lockett from the RTTM Community Center. If you're just tuning in or you missed our show, you can find this program and all of our interviews on demand on civiccentertv.com/megacast. We usually will upload our new shows to that page by mid to late afternoon on the day of. And you can find those shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from that on demand on our civiccentertv.com/megacast page. Also, where you'll find more info on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes state, including in your local area. civiccentertv.com/megacast. On our local news page, you'll find up-to-date information and articles making headlines on the COVID-19 front and beyond all across the state of Michigan, as well as links to up-to-date and accurate information from experts federally at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention on COVID-19, from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, as well as in our local area where we originate our broadcast in Oakland County, from the Oakland County Health Division. That's on our local news page at civiccentertv.com. We also post articles making headlines all across the state from many different journalistic outlets there. Click through those articles, read them in full, read their supporting materials. And of course, if you have the means to do so, we highly encourage you to subscribe to these publications and support journalism in your local area. These frontline journalists do extensive work to cover many of these stories. Today, we talked about the change of leadership at Michigan State University. Exciting news about the upcoming parade on Thanksgiving Day in the city of Detroit, with Jalen Rose among the grand marshals of that parade, as well as information about the big game coming up next, not this weekend, but the weekend after in Ann Arbor between the University of Michigan and Michigan State. Big thank you to our crew as well. It makes this program possible 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Calvin Brown and Jared Clark at the studio of My Michigan TV, as well as our producer. We call him the king of television, Larry Nyland, for booking all these guests and helping them and us be ready for informative conversations on many topics each and every day. That does it for this Tuesday edition of the Megacast. We'll return with a new episode very soon.
This is My Michigan TV. Around here, we just call it My.